Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So guys, in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we are going to review some things that we should expect as new dental hygienists. Okay, so this is for all my newbies in dental hygiene. I'm gonna give you guys some tips and tell you guys what you should expect when you're coming into the dental hygiene field and all the things you need to know. Okay, so sit back and relax and stay tuned as we get into this video. But first, before we get into the video, actually I need you guys to do me a huge favor. I need you guys to increase this subscriber count on my channel. Go ahead and hit subscribe, because you know, like I always do, I'm gonna give you some good dental hygiene tea. So make sure that you hit subscribe on the channel, hit like on this video, comment down below if you feel led, and you know, show me some love, y'all. I need some love. All right guys, let's go ahead and get into it. The first call to action before we even dive into what to expect and all the things to know is go in for shadowing. Go in for shadowing, y'all. I can't stress this more. It is so important. Just whatever office you choose to work at, go in for shadowing first and see how they work, how the flow goes, what the doctor's expectations are. All of those things are so important and will help you out. You never want to just dive right into anything, but don't just dive right into it, you know, your first day out of school and not really knowing what to expect. I say that because I made that mistake. I was 20 years old when I graduated dental hygiene school. So I was very young and dumb, and I just threw myself into the office without having any background knowledge, without shadowing, without anything. I just threw myself in there. I was like, okay, it's my first day of work, like, you know, and there was a lot of shock too, because dental hygiene school is very tough. So after dental hygiene school, I feel like there's like some trauma and like some shock attached to us, and we're just like, okay, now we got out of school, it was super hard, now it's like time to work. And so that can be like a difficult transition. So the first thing is make sure you shadow. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into some of the more inside things of it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to review is doctor exams. Now, it's very important that you ask and you seek what are the doctor expectations, because every doctor is so different. What one doctor likes and expects, another doctor might be totally different. So you need to make sure you get to know your doctor. And even before you get to know them, just say, hey, what are your expectations? What is it that you want me to do for the exams? What is the information you want me to get? What kind of x-rays? All of these things are very important to do, but I will go over like the basics of things, right? So you have a patient come in, a recare, they're due for their x-rays. So first you need to see what kind of x-rays, because every 5 years we have to be updating a full mouth series of x-rays. Some offices have you update a panel with it. I know my office does full mouth series, a panel at no charge, and then a 3D scan every 5 years. We kind of treat the patient like a brand new patient. That way we're reestablishing them, because it's very easy when patients come in for recares, it's very easy to lose sight of the big picture, because you're like, oh, I know this person, they've been coming here for years and they're just getting prophies. Well, when are we like reassessing the patient? Yes, you started here 5 years ago and you were a prophy, but now it's time to reevaluate you, because over the span of 5 years your mouth can change drastically. And we know that gum diseases, cavities, all of these things can be acute, so have a very quick onset, and some of them could be chronic, so kind of more over time these things can form. So every 5 years we're like reassessing the patient. We're like, we're going to treat you like a brand new patient again. So I kind of went off on a ramble there, but I wanted to make sure that I got that information in, because that's very important. So you need to find out what kind of x-rays are your patients due for. That's number one. You always want to ask your patients, are you having any pain or sensitivity to any temperature? So hot, cold, chewing sensitivity, any shooting pains, anything like that. You need to ask those questions. Is there any issues when you're at home and you're eating and you're drinking? Are you having any sensations? Now, if the patient says, yeah, you know, the other day, like this tooth here was really sensitive, like when I was chewing, or, you know, I kind of got like a zinger or a sharp pain. If I'm updating their bite wings, I'm gonna just go ahead and update a PA of that specific tooth, because you just never know what's happening. And then you can get ahead of your doctor, because if the patient tells you that information and then the doctor comes in for the exam and the doctor's like, okay, hi Mrs. Smith, like what's going on? And she's like, yeah, I was just telling my hygienist that this specific tooth was bothering me. The doctor is more than likely gonna turn to you and say, okay, did you get an x-ray of that tooth? So save yourself time and hassle, because time is our worst enemy. We need to stay on time. So if you get it right at the beginning, you don't have to worry about doing it at the end. Like, you want to do it right, like do it right the first time. So before I even start the x-rays, okay, now I know, okay, the patient is due for 4 bite wings, but hey, are you having any pain or sensitivity? And then they say yes or no, and then I go ahead and I will update the necessary x-rays. If a patient's saying they're having pain on a specific tooth, maybe it's a little bit extra work in the moment, but just go ahead and do it, because it saves you the embarrassment of the doctor saying, hey, like if the patient expresses to you, why didn't you go ahead and take that x-ray? And then it just saves you the hassle, because then when you think your appointment's done, you're done with your cleaning, you're ready to move on, maybe your next patient's already here, and you're like, you know, your mindset is like, okay, I'm ready to wrap up this exam, and then I'm gonna clean my room, get it flipped, get this patient treatment plan, whatever it is. Now that process in your mind is being halted, because you're like, wait, now I have to take a step back. I have to go back to the lab, back to get an x-ray ran, gotta go find another sensor, and then now we have to take x-rays again. And that is just too much when you could just handle it all at the beginning. Now, the information that you give to the doctor is very important too. In my office, we like to make sure that we are kind of like, in a sense, explaining all of the like whatever information my patient gives me, I need to make sure that I'm also explaining all of that to the doctor, and we make sure to do that in front of the patient. So one, the patient doesn't feel like they're having to you know, repeat themselves, and 2, just to show the patients that like we care and we're listening. So I gather all the information at the beginning of the appointment: health history changes, any concerns that they have for their teeth, whether that's pain or sensitivity, or whether that's aesthetics. Like, are you happy aesthetically with your smiles? I ask my patients that, specifically new patients, because like as they start to come in, we hope that we're already addressing those concerns that they have aesthetically, of course. But you know, at the beginning, like that new patient, I'm always gonna say like, hey, like, are you happy with your smile? If you could have the perfect smile, what would it look like? And pictures and 3D scans are a great way to have those conversations. You can show your patient their 3D scan and just say, hey, like, look at your teeth. Every time I show my patients the 3D scan, they're like, ugh, like, what is that? And I'm like, it's just teeth, like, it's okay. And what don't you like? What makes you say ill? And they're like, I don't like that one crooked tooth. I don't like the color of my teeth. Like, these are great ways to like just open up, because as healthcare professionals and dental hygienists, we want, number 1, for our patients to be healthy, but number 2, like, we also want them to be happy with their smile. I don't want to have a patient coming in my chair every 3 to 6 months, and then I find out, like, after seeing them for 3 years, that they don't even show their teeth in pictures. Like, they're so self-cautious. They're like, yeah, but I don't like to show my teeth in a picture. Like, always hide my teeth, or like, I laugh like this. Like, I hate hearing that. So I'm like, what can we do to fix it? So these are all great things, all information that you can gather at the beginning of the appointment. And then make sure that you give that information to the doctor. Like, if it's not in front of the patient, that's okay, but make sure that all the information that the patient give it to the doctor. And I would say it in front of the patient, because then that shows like, hey, like I listen and I care. And now the doctor's here who does restorative work, and we can put together a plan to get you to have a healthy and happy smile. So yeah. Okay, so when it does come to doctor exams, collecting information, educating our patients, I think verbiage is like one of the biggest things that I learned in my career. Is like, the way that you say things is so important. Like, I have to have good verbiage. Like, I never want to say to my patient, hey, like, you know, your teeth are really crooked. Like, have you ever, you know, considered doing braces? It's just like, hey, like, you know, and that's why I show them their scan. Hey, you know, what is it that you don't like? So sometimes, like a lot of times the patients, they're already aware that their teeth have crowding, right? So it's just like better verbiage. Like I would say, instead of crooked, I would say crowded. Like, you know, okay, your teeth are a little bit like crowded here. Like it seems like they are all kind of sharing the same space in this one specific area. Because of that, it looks like you're building up more like plaque and like tartar. Does this bother you? You know, do you have any trouble at home keeping this clean? And, you know, we want to be honest with our patients, but we also want to be gentle and considerate, because this is people, you know, people are concerned and they are they're insecure about their smiles. So we never want to be, you know, standing in our position as dental hygienists or dental professionals and talk down on a patient because of their teeth, or, you know, whatever. You know, something that really quick before we move to the next one, something that I hear a lot from patients that I really hate is patients will be like I'll be taking x-rays on a patient, typically a new patient, and I'll be like, okay, we're gonna take some x-rays, you bite down, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, like, you know, my last office, like they always told me, you know, like my mouth was too small for this, and like, you know, and I'm just like, why would they say that? I'm like, I always tell my patients, hey, it's okay, we're gonna like do the best that we can, and these things are huge. Like, you never want to be like, oh, your mouth is so small, like your gag is so bad, like you're really hard to take x-rays on. And I would think like, no, people won't do that, but as much as I hear it, obviously they do. So that is definitely like a verbiage thing, y'all. We gotta be careful how we are speaking to our patients, because people already don't like coming to the dental office. So we never want to be the reason why our patients aren't coming to get their oral health condition under control, because it affects their health. Like, we want healthy people, don't we? If you have a heart, you want people to be healthy, and it starts in their mouth. It's the root to your body. So we got to make sure that we're being gentle with our patients. Even though I know, as a dental hygienist, I'm doing this for almost 8 years now, or 8 years, I don't even remember how long it is. I guess I'm going on 9 years. Anyways, doing this for however long, I know that it can be frustrating. Like, it's not the, you know, easiest thing to work with people just in general, but I still want to be gentle and patient. All right, the next thing that I want to go over on things that we need to know and like expectation wise is like chart preps. We have to do chart preps. You never want to just go into a day of work and go blindly. I think I used to do this when I first started, I'm not gonna lie. Like, at my first office, I didn't really used to chart prep like that. I used to just, like, as the day was going, like, look at the ledger. Okay, what does this patient do for bite wings? Okay, boom, boom. And I would do it like that. Like, I would just kind of see, like, what are they currently due for? And I would get the job done, don't get me wrong, but the office I'm currently at, that was one of the good things that I got from this current office, was that, like, they do their chart preps. Like, they are, like, serious about the chart preps, you know, like the chart preps, like, it basically just, like, it had a system where it's like, no, we do chart preps here. Like, we know before we even start the day, like, what the patient needs. We outline it in the chart. So just I use Dentrix, for example. So there's ways that I can put, if you're not already in the field or if you don't work with Dentrix, I don't really have too much experience with other things, but there's a way that you can put in the patient's chart what they're due for. Okay, my patient's due for period maintenance, an exam, and 4 bite wings and fluoride. Like, I can lay all that out in the chart, and then when the patient comes in, I can print it, or I can print it at the beginning of the day and just have all of my treatment plans like together. That's basically what that's called when we chart prep. Then it becomes the patient's treatment plan for the day. So that is so important, and it has helped me so much with just preparation. Like, I want to not only just put what they're due for, but when I do a chart prep, I need to see what is going on. Like, who is this patient? What happened at their last visit? I realize when I don't thoroughly read my notes, because I'm human and sometimes I just don't have enough time to like read through the patient's notes. Sometimes I miss important things. I would say, for an example of just being like transparent, was you know, a patient was, you know, checked for oral cancer. And although there was nothing there, thank God she like went and got, you know, a second opinion, or went and got a biopsy of the area, and it came back that everything was clear. As I was doing her note after her appointment, then I had started going through her notes. And although I didn't see anything with my eyes, because I didn't read that note, I also didn't double check that area just to make sure that for myself, it was still gone. Like, I don't remember seeing anything, but like, I should have thoroughly read my notes. And yeah, so that was something that I was kind of like, dang, like, I gotta make sure that I'm staying on top of like real chart prepping. Like, it's not just putting what they're due for, but reading and seeing what happened last visit. How are their probing depths? How are their x-rays? Where is their bone levels at? How is this cavity compared to the x-ray that I took today? Like, are there any areas that doctor was monitoring and watching? Like, all of these things are great information to help the day flow so much easier. And then I don't know if you guys do it, but like, at my office, we always do like a meeting before the day, which also I think is very helpful. And if your office doesn't have that implemented, I would say that they should implement it. I think it runs smoother. I think that it helps everyone just kind of be on the same page, and we're all just on one accord. For our morning meeting, I bring my chart preps, and then that's a way that I can transfer information over. I spoke to you guys earlier about how it's easy to basically, you know, lose sight of the patient's health when they're coming in every 3 to 6 months for their recares, because we're like, okay, we always see this person, we always see this person, but what are we updating, right? Like, we need to reassess things. So one of the most important things that I want to talk about for dental hygiene for reassessment wise, other than what we already spoke about, like obviously the x-rays, is their periodontal probing, like their charting, their perio charting. And for those of you who may be new to dental hygiene, or you know, maybe in school or something, or thinking about the field, perio charting is basically checking the health of the patient's gums and the underlying bone. So I see this happen a lot too, where the patients, you know, they've been going to a dental office for like 10-15 years. They come in as a new patient to our practice. I take their x-rays, I check their bone levels, and I have to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, you have bone loss, like you have a gum disease. Has anyone ever told you about this? And then they're like, no. And then it just becomes a big thing, right? Because they're like, no, I was going to my last office for 15 years. I never needed a deep cleaning. They never told me that, blah, 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 blah. It just becomes a thing. So, and I empathize with that, because I can see how, if I'm seeing this patient every 3 to 6 months, we get comfortable with each other. And it can also be, if we're being honest, it could be intimidating for as dental hygienists, for us to tell our patients, hey, like, I know you've been coming here every 6 months, but unfortunately, like, this has developed. It can be intimidating to say those things, or it could be, maybe we can feel like like we had like some guilt with it too, because it's like, well, I've been cleaning your teeth every 6 months, but this has started to form. But it's okay. Like, we have to let the patients know. Like, it's our job to let the patients know that. But so with that being said, I think it's so important to set the standard and to reassess the patient's gums, whether that's, you know, I personally think like at least every 6 months, like every 6 months, even if you're doing a spot check, you know, just like going around to like, just like, you know, maybe you're not recording every single number every 6 months or every 3 months. If your patient's on period maintenance, you should be doing that every 3 months, because we're really like monitoring them. But if the patient's healthy, every 6 months, even if I'm not recording all the numbers again, I'm gonna take my probe and go around and make sure that there's no areas where I'm like, the probe is falling into them, no areas that are changing. Because if we can catch it early, like last visit we were healthy. 2 visits from now, I'm like, okay, I checked the gums, we're getting some fours, we're getting some bleeding. Like, so then I start the education process, because then I'm like, okay, so now how's your flossing been? And they're like, you know, I'll be honest, I kind of fell off of my flossing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we know that flossing is one of the main things that can help us to keep our gums under control. Now I have to tell the patient, now we have developed this gingivitis. Now I have to explain to them what gingivitis is, how it occurs, and what can happen if we don't get this under control. So then say that's that appointment, and 2 appointments from that, which would be a year, we check again, and let's just say, hey, we had this conversation before, and now it's time for us to treat this. Like, it was gingivitis before, but now it's progressed to more. Now we've developed periodontal disease, so now we have to treat it. So anyways, that's that. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because as new dental hygienist, time is gonna be, you know, your biggest thing. Like, you need to stay on time. It's not like school. In school we have 3 hours to do a prophy, but depending on what office you're in, sometimes it's not a lot of time to do what you have to do. So it's really important that you're updating your probings, because the last thing you want to do is be struggling doing bloody prophies. Like, struggling, like basically the patient needs more than a prophy, and so that's why it's taking you longer, probably. Like, if they have a lot of tartar buildup, if there's a lot of bleeding, inflammation, it's like, are we checking that this isn't actually more? Because as soon as a patient needs more, that's an easy conversation to me to say, hey, there's a lot of inflammation, there's a lot of tartar. How's your flossing been? Okay, we're lacking on the flossing. That's okay. We want to get you back to health and get you back on a good routine, but this is going to require a different cleaning. Like, what does this patient really need? Like, is it really just a prophy? Is it really, and like, not being intimidated and not being scared to say something, because it's not for your personal benefit, it's for the benefit of the patient. So yeah, that conversation that we just had brings me right into time. Like, as a dental hygienist, something to expect is, you know, like we talked about already, is like time is not always on our side. So that's something I would check in the interview process. And so yeah, with all that being said, my last point is just be prepared. Just be prepared. Like, and that goes into the chart prepping, that goes into doctor expectations, making sure that you're building rapport with your doctors, with the dental assistants, with everyone in the office, because the office has to run like smoothly. Like, so you have to have relationship with everyone from the front to the back, because the people in the front are the ones doing your schedule. So you need to have them on your side, because you need to be like, girl, please don't be throwing no crazy stuff on my schedule for no 40-50 minutes. Like, make sure I have an hour when you see certain things come up, like the patient hasn't been here in 3 years and stuff. So and then you need help. So make sure that you're building good rapport with the dental assistants in the office, so that if you do run behind, you're like, hey, I have somebody that I can go to. Make sure you're building good rapport with the fellow hygienist there, so you have someone to lean on and say, you know, I'm a new hygienist, like I need your help. How do you do this? How do you do that? So like one of the biggest ways to be prepared is like at the morning meeting, and you know, after you do your tour preps, you can say, hey, this patient's only scheduled for 50 minutes, but they need like a full mouth series and like all the things. So I might run behind at 10 o'clock and I might need some help. That's a great way to be prepared, so that you know, one, maybe you need to have like an extra room available, and two, you know that you need help from your team. So giving that heads up when things like that come up is gonna be very helpful for you as a new dental hygienist. So, and even me as a seasoned dental hygienist, I do all these same things. So anyways, you guys, I pray that this video was helpful to whoever needs it, like new hygienists, current hygienist, coming into the field, maybe you're in school, whatever, whoever needs this. I pray that it was helpful. I pray that it was good information. I pray that I'm not just yapping off at the mouth, because I do love to talk and my mouth is very dry. Yes it is, yes it is. I need to go drink some water now. And yeah, I just pray for you guys, and I love you guys, and I thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, y'all. Please help me out, subscribe to the channel, and y'all be blessed. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.